Guys, welcome to another Damilola Forex Academy teaching. In today's teaching, I'm going to be pointing out how you can be able to identify a valid break of structure, okay? So that when you see a valid break of structure, you can be able to enter your trade and you can also be able to take profit within the confinements of structure circles, okay? So that is very important because us as traders, understanding the points that allows us to see what a clear and valid break of structure is what allows us to place our trade, and we are now able to exit correctly. Okay, so on the left side of the screen, as you can see, this is a bearish structure that got broken. Okay, it's a situation of a bearish structure and has now gotten broken and become a bullish structure. And on the right side of the screen, it's a situation where we can see a bullish structure got broken, and right now price is making out bearish structures. Okay, so before we go further, we are going to take it one by one. How do we see a valid break of a bullish structure, and how do we see a valid break of a bearish structure? Okay, so first of all, we all know that what bullish structures entails a clear coordination of higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so this is it right here. Here is what this is, and this is a low, or you can tag this, let's put it in bolder caps, or you can tag this as an higher low. Why? Because it's higher than the previous low. And you can tag this as a low, you can tag this as an high. Okay, then how about this? This is what another higher low. And how about this? This is an higher high. It's an higher high because it's higher than the previous high. How about the next one? This is also an higher high. Then here, right here, this is an higher low. This is an higher low because it's higher than the previous low. Then the last one right here is an higher high because it's higher than the previous high. Okay, so this clear coordinations here makes up a bullish structure. Okay, so now for us to be able to ascertain that the bulls are done and the bears are now in charge of the markets, either for a retracement or in the direction of trend, for us to be able to ascertain, it would mean that the last higher low must get broken. Okay, so you can see this level labeled higher low right here. So this higher low level must get broken. What does it mean? This means that instead of prices grabbing another higher low in clear bullish coordinations and going over to create an higher high, this means that prices must close below the last higher low. Now, when we see a close below the last higher low, then yes, we know that this level is now a lower low. This now clearly means that the bulls are no more in charge of prices and the bears are now the ones in charge of prices. Okay, and the bears could be in charge for a retracement. Maybe it could be a sell trade that could send prices, to the middle around the 61.8, or if it's in the direction of trend, it can send prices to the lowest point of the broken structure circle. Okay, so this is very important that for us to see a break of structure, we must see that prices closes below the last higher low and forms a lower low. Okay, so this is very important when it comes to the break of structure. However, there's something very important to talk about also, which is known as PRA. For those in my mentorship program, they know about PRA. I've taught my students every single thing and more in my course and in my live mentorship program. Link is in the description below for you to join in and also make money and learn with the students. Okay, so now, what is a PRA? A PRA means a potential reversal area. Okay, so let's just go ahead and write this out right here, that potential reversal area. Okay, because now we're talking about what points out a valid break of structure. Okay, it's important to note that for me to see a break of structure and for me to confirm that the break of structure is valid, it means that I must have already had a potential reversal area. Okay, so now what are these potential reversal areas, right? Potential reversal areas are levels in the chart that prices get to and may not be able to go beyond. Okay, for example, here we can see prices on all of this bullish movement, right? So now let's assume that this level that prices hit, that price was not able to go beyond, will now be known as a PRA. So this level that prices hit and could not go beyond is now what? A PRA. It is now a potential reversal area. Okay, so these potential reversal areas are not random. These are specific levels on the chart. Okay, so what are these specific levels on the chart? The potential reversal areas could be what? 61.8 Fibonacci levels. They could be, in this case, resistance levels. They could be support levels. They could be support on resistance or resistance on support. They could be trend line levels. All of these things could ascertain a PRA. And like I said, I've taught my students how to be able to apply the knowledge of PRAs better in order for you to get the right application. Okay, so but either or, a PRA must be found. So when I see a PRA, that's the first indication that yes, I've seen a PRA. Like I said, a PRA could even be the 61.8 Fibonacci level. Okay, so a PRA has been found. And what is the next thing? I'll now read the structures that took prices to that PRA and wait for a break of structure. When I see a break of structure, then yes, this is now a valid break of structure. Okay, it is a PRA that triggered the break of structure. So it's not just a random break of structure. Okay, because when you go onto the chart, sometimes you can see a random break of structure, but because there is no valid base, there is no valid entity that caused that break of structure, then the break of structure does not last. In that case, we'll call it a false break because there's no valid entity, which is a PRA, that has triggered the break of structure. Okay, so potential reversal areas are very important in what? In seeking out a valid break of structure. Okay, so the same thing we highlighted right here, we are going to highlight it for what? For the bearish to the bullish structure. Okay, so let's take all of this out. Okay, so for the bearish to the bullish structure, okay, so for example, this is push, exhaustion right here, push to this level, exhaustion right here, push to this level, exhaustion, push. This is the break of structure. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that first of all, we'll identify all the bearish structure. From here, we can see that what this is, this point right here, this is what? A lower high. This is a lower high because it's lower than this high right here, which can be regarded as an high. Okay, so how about this? This is another lower high because it's lower than the previous high. Then how about right here? This is another lower high because it's lower than the previous high. Then how about here? This is a low because there's no. Then this is what? This is a lower low point. It's lower than the previous low. This is another lower low point because it's lower than the previous low. Then the last one right here, this is what? Another lower low point because it is also lower than what? The previous low. Okay, so right now, instead of prices, right, to continue on clear coordinations, right, of lower highs and continue the bearish move, what did prices decide to do? Price decided to what? To break above the last lower high. Okay, so this now means that what? That prices should have created an higher high. Okay, so prices creating this higher high is what validates that yes, the bears are done and the bulls are now in charge of prices. Okay, and this is what validates a break of structure. However, just like I talked about, a PRA must be found. Okay, a PRA, which we said is a potential reversal area, must be found, and it must be a PRA that triggered the break of structure. If it is not a PRA and it is just a random break of structure, then there's a high probability that the break of structure would be a false break, and it will just be a situation where prices broke structure only to come back. Let's make a pinpoint where prices broke structure only to come back and make bearish movements. Okay, so in that case, we must see that what is the PRA that triggered the break of structure. Okay, so these things are very important, and these are just the little secrets that we as traders use in order for us to be ahead of the market, to be ahead of the general populace that trades. This little knowledge, you understand, and that is why we share this knowledge in our courses, we share this knowledge in our mentorship, and everyone can join with the link in the description below. Okay, so now before we go further, we are also going to talk about what? Structure circles. Okay, because structure circles are very important also for us to be able to understand what particular structure was broken. Okay, so now what are the structure circles? Okay, so let's take all of this out and talk about structure circles. Okay, So this is it. Let's go. So structure circles are likewise movements of structures in the market, okay, or likewise movements of, let's use the word candlesticks, you understand, or let's just stick with the word structures, you understand, let's just stick with the word structures, okay, because at the end of the day we understand that what structures are the coordinated movement of candlesticks, okay. So in order for us not to go back to candlesticks, let's just say structure circles are what are the likewise movements of these structures, okay, and these structures, as we know, are the coordination of what of candlesticks, okay. So what do we mean by structure circles are the likewise movements of structures in the market? Okay, so for example, if we see markets make movements like this, like push, exhaustion like this, and push, exhaustion, these are what you can see the exhaustions, okay? And before we go ahead, it's also important to note that structure circles can also be measured by the length of the exhaustion. We all know that after every push, there must be an exhaustion, right? So structure circles can also be measured by the length of the exhaustion, okay? So sometimes you can use the likewise movement of it, and it can also be measured by what the length of the exhaustion. So either or you can mix it up. So this is what push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion. So from here, if we now see prices start a new structure circle here, which is what you can see that these are small structures, right? And we now see a break of structure. Okay, it's important to note that the break of structure does not affect the big structure circle, okay? And if you are selling at maximum, if it's in the direction of trend, at maximum, this is your take profit, okay? This is the maximum you can sell to if the opportunity is in the direction of trend. If the opportunity is a retracement, then you can bring your Fibonacci from the low right here and your Fibonacci from the high right here, and you can be able to sell to the 61.8 if it's retracement, okay. I've also taught my students how to be able to identify retracements and opportunities in the direction of trend in the market, okay. So these things are very important, okay. So what is next? What is next with this understanding, okay? Let's just take this up and let's do this. Okay, so one very important thing, right, about structure circles, right, that we need to learn is that a break of a big structure circle. You can see this structure circle is bigger than the others, right? A break of a big structure circles affects all of the likewise structure circles behind it. We can see all these ones are smaller, right? But this big one has affected all of these smaller ones behind it. Okay, so this is very important when it comes to the knowledge of structure circles, okay. So the same thing and the same way it applies in the bullish structure is also the same way it applies, in the bearish structure. That is, if we see prices, make big structure circles like this, and we now see prices start a new structure circle here. These are small structure circles, okay, and we now see a break of this structure circle here. At maximum, this is our take profit because it has no business with this other window. So we'll say that this level here is our CSC. That level to this level here is our CSC. Okay, so if we're picking a buy trade at maximum, this is take profit. Okay, if it's a retracement, you take profit around the 61.8. You bring out your Fibonacci from here to this point right here. Okay, so now that has been defined, it's also the same thing. Like we said, if there's a break of a big structure circle, it affects all of the small structure circle behind it. Okay, so far they have likewise movements that affects all of the small structure circles behind it, and you can be able to buy to the highest point. So far it's in the direction of trend, and if it's a retracement, you buy to the 61.8. I also have a full course on how to be able to apply the Fibonacci. Okay, some of you don't know how to use the Fibonacci correctly. I have a full course on that also. Okay, link is in the description below. Okay, so now that this has been defined, these things are very, very important for us because what? Because you have to be able to understand structure circles in its entirety, and you have to be able to know how to apply it. Okay, so now we are now going to take this particular knowledge, we are going to take it to the live chat in order for us to be able to apply this knowledge on the real life chat. Okay, so what is going on the real life chat? Okay, we are going to be using gold for our example today. So you all know that we have what? An organized top-down analysis system, right? Whereby we start from the monthly time frame and we take prices regressively from the monthly time frame to what? To the 1 hour time frame to look for a trade entry opportunity. Okay, so what is the first thing we do when we come onto the chart? The first thing we do is to identify the highest point of the chart right here. Then the next thing we do, as we know, is to read the structures that took prices to that point. Okay, so from here, we're just going to take it from the part where we can see on the chart. From here, we can see prices make push exhaustion, then we can see big structure circles here, push and exhaustion. Then after prices did that, what the prices do, price started small structure circles here of push exhaustion, push exhaustion, push exhaustion. Okay, then what the prices do, it's continued by what, making even smaller structure circle here of push and exhaustion. Okay, so this is very important because we just talked about structure circle and we said that what we said that structure circles can be measured by the length of what, the length of the exhaustion. Okay, so now we know that what, this higher low here, you can see this higher low here is a big one. We know that after this, price started small structure circles, made a big one again, but this big one is smaller than the other one, but it's continued by making what, even a smaller one right here. Okay, so now that that has been defined, we've seen that clearly prices are bullish. So what are we going to do? We are going to now what? We are going to now pick what, the last higher low of prices here. So when we pick the last higher low, what are we going to do? We are now going to what? Take the highest point of the chart or the most relevant high of the chart and the last higher low right here and look for a trade entry opportunity within this particular structure circle here or within this particular range of focus. Okay, so now we'll take that range of focus to the weekly time frame. But before we go on to the weekly time frame, I want to interpret all of this bullish structure. I want to interpret it on the real life chart here. Okay, so we saw prices start on small structure circles like this, then eventually price established a gigantic one, then price started on new structure circles here, and eventually it established a bigger one. Obviously this one that is established is not as big as this previous one. Then what the prices do, it started new structure circles again. So what did we do? We picked what? We picked the last higher low that we could find on the monthly time frame, and we just did what? We picked what? The highest point of the chart right here. Obviously, we know that what, if prices breaks this last higher low, right, the maximum you can sell to is this low right here because it has no business with the remaining structure circle, right? It has no business with the structure circle that is here. It has no business with this structure circle, and eventually if prices break this, it has no business with this structure circle. Okay, so that's why we trade what? We trade within structure circles. Okay, so that is a very important thing to note. Let's go over it again. If there's a break of this higher low here, here's the maximum you can sell to. This is the maximum you can sell to. You cannot sell below because the structure circle is different. If there's a break below this, here's the maximum you can sell to. This is the maximum you can sell to. You cannot sell below because the structure circle is bigger. And if there's a break below this, then yes, you can sell to the lowest point. Okay, so far the opportunity are in the direction of trend. Okay, so what did we do? We took the last higher low here and took the highest point of prices right here, and we'll take it to lower time frame. So we identify this as what? Monthly higher low, and we'll identify this level as monthly resistance. Okay, and we'll now take that window into what? Into the weekly time frame to look for what? A range of focus. Okay, and remember that what, we'll keep bracketing prices into what? Into range of focuses until we see a real-time trade entry opportunity. Okay, so reading structures from here again, we saw prices make push and exhaustion to this point, push and exhaustion to this point, push and exhaustion to this point. And then after this, what the prices do, price side on small structure circles. So what are we going to do? We are now going to identify this level here as what? As weekly HL. HL, as we know, means higher low. Okay, so weekly HL. Okay, so our job is what? Our job right now is taking this monthly resistance and this weekly HL here and trying to look for a trade entry opportunity within the window of the monthly resistance and the weekly HL. Okay, so we'll take that to the daily time frame. Okay, let's bring our tags closer. This is the monthly resistance, weekly HL. We'll keep looking for opportunity within what? Within range of focus. Okay, so let's pick this zone up so it's pinpoint. Okay, that is excellent. So what are we going to do? So from here, we saw prices make all of this push, all of this exhaustion. Then what the prices do? We started new structure circles here, all of these tiny structure circles. Then it made what? A big one right here. Then after this, what the prices do? Started a small structure circle again, eventually made a big one, okay? This now became what? The last higher low of this particular structure circle here. So we will just identify this as what? As the last higher low of this structure circle, okay? So what are we going to do? We are now going to what? Take this level here as what? As daily HL, okay? And our job will be looking for an opportunity between this daily HL and this what? Monthly resistance point, okay? So now that we've put all these structure circles behind us, what are we going to do? Let's look for a trade entry opportunity within this window here. Okay, so because gold is overall bullish, we saw gold very bullish on the monthly time frame, is bullish on the weekly time frame. So gold is overall bullish, which means if we are buying gold, we are buying in the direction of trend. And if there's a sell on gold, it is only a retracement. And we all know that retracement ends at what? At the 61.8 Fibonacci level. Okay, so now within this range of focus, what are we seeing? From here, we saw prices make push and exhaustion right here. Then after prices made push and exhaustion, prices made another push to this level again, made an exhaustion here, then made another push to this monthly resistance point. Then there was a break of structure. Okay, the break of structure has been seen because the last higher low was taken out. Now the question is what? Where is that sell going to end? Bring out our Fibonacci from the low and we'll take it to the high. The sell is going to end at what? At the 61.8. This is where the sell is going to end. So now identify this level as what? 61.8 PRA. This now comes to the PRA I was talking about. Okay, so now if prices breaks the bearish structure that brought it here, we know that what? We are buying in the direction of trend. Okay, we know that we are buying direction of trend, and we are going to buy to what? To the highest point of the broken structure circle. So this is not just a random break of structure. A PRA has been found, which we have seen here is what? A 61.8 Fibonacci level. Okay, so we'll now take this 61.8 and take this monthly resistance to look for what? A trade entry opportunity and read the entire structures that brought prices down to that point. So let's bring our tags a bit closer. Okay, so what are the structures that brought prices down to this zone? Okay, so from here we can see prices make push to this level, prices made an exhaustion at this level. Okay, so this level right here is the last lower high of that structure circle. Okay, so for me to see a real-time trade entry opportunity, I will have to, okay, first of all, let's take this off so we don't confuse ourselves. Because eventually this resistance point here, pinpoint, is where our take profit is. This resistance point right here is where our last take profit is. However, we are going to keep bracketing prices into range of focus. You can see the length of this exhaustion. There's no exhaustion below it that shares the equal length of the exhaustion. So we identify this as what? As the last lower high. And what are we going to do? We are now going to take this zone from this resistance point to the 61.8 PRA to look for a trade entry opportunity within the zone, which will now be what? Our current, range of focus. So we'll take this as 61.8 CSC. Take this as, let's take this as 4 hours CSC. So now let's see if we can see a closer CSC on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so from here we saw prices make push to this level, made an exhaustion, push to this level, made an exhaustion. Okay, same structure circle. Then after prices completed that, what the prices, we started new structure circle. Okay, you can see that the length of all these exhaustions here are different from the length of this one. So what is the first one? Okay, this is the first push and exhaustion. Then price now made push and exhaustion at this point. Okay, after price exhausted that, what the prices do is started new structure circle again, made push and exhaustion. But this particular structure circle, it only made one wave of exhaustion. Okay, because the next structure circle here were smaller exhaustions. Okay, so it's a push, exhaustion, push to the 61.8 PRA, and there was a break of structure. Okay, so now that we've seen a break of structure, we said that what? A break of a small structure circle does not affect a big structure circle. So our job is what? What is the structure that was broken? That is the next job, because it's a small, we can see that what there are different big structure circles here, but the one that was broken is the smallest of them all. So what do? We are now going to identify the resistance of the pinpoint structure circle that was broken, and the resistance starts from here. Okay, so this level right here will now be what? Our current what? CSC. Okay, it will now be our CSC. And what are we going to do? We are now going to what? Take our opportunity from this CSC to this 61.8 PRA this would be what? This would be where we'll be looking for our real-time trade entry opportunity. Okay, so now the question is this: how do we get our real-time trade entry opportunity within what? This CSE to this 61.8 PRE. Remember that on gold, if we are buying it in the direction of trend, right? So what do? Read the structures. Okay, so what are the structures? From here, within the CSE, we can see price make push and exhaustion, then push and exhaustion. Then there was a push to the 61.8 CSE, then there was a break of structure, but prices never completed at the highest point. Remember that if you are buying direction of trend, you buy to the highest point of the broken structure circle, but prices never got to that point. Instead, what the prices do, it got close to that point. Then it came back to give us a discount. What is a discount? We know that after a break of structure, instead of heading straight to take profits, sometimes prices offers us a discount. A discount is just a retracement to the 61.8. So if we bring out our Fibonacci from the low to the high, we can see prices came pinpoint at 61.8. So how do we strike our entry on this trade? It's very simple. Just put your buy, pinpoint at 61.8, target the highest point right here in the direction of trend, then take profit would be somewhere around here. So let's make it pinpoint. Okay, so this trade using this particular entry variation will be getting a 1:1.6. Okay, it's not a lot, but imagine you have a 100K prop account, you put $1,000 on this trade, you'll be going on with $1,600 just on this very simple trade. Okay, so now this is one way by which you can tap into this opportunity. There's also another way again, which we call entry variation 3, which means that what you will read the structures that brought prices down to the 61.8 and wait for a break of structure. What are the structures that brought prices down to the discount? Okay, the structures, let's pick it from the highest points here. The structures are push, exhaustion. Okay, this is push. Maybe prices could make an exhaustion right here. Maybe price could come back again to sit properly on the 61.8. You break structure. But if we enter the break of structure, it could be like 1:1 again. So we'll just wait for a discount again. And at the discount, we'll buy pinpoint to the top. Okay, so these are some of our very secret trading strategies that I teach, in-depthly in my course and life mentorship program. Okay, so with this, you would see that what someone without as much knowledge as you are is entering for what, like 1:1.6, while you, because you have a more refined knowledge, the exact same trade, you're entering for a 1:3.5 without compromising, your stop losses or compromising anything, but by just understanding structures even more effectively. Okay, so if you want more teaching on this or more teaching on any part of Forex, or you want to learn how to use any of the tools, link is in the description below for you to join my mentorship program. And I'll be looking forward to holding you by the hand into the understanding and mastery of price action trading, and in turn getting you profitable in the markets. In that case, see you guys in the next teaching.